Mama Titi sat under the mango tree beside her small bungalow in Ilorine, sipping Gary and groundnuts, smiling to herself as she hummed an old Ebenezer Obey song. Her heart danced with joy. Her son, Deo, her only child, her pride and crown, was getting married. And not just to any girl, a Lagos big girl with plenty English and fancy connections. It was the kind of wedding that would make her the envy of all her co-church women. She had already imagined her entrance at the reception. Stepping out in heavily stoned Iro and Buba, Jella tied like a queen, and all eyes on her. "That's the mother of the groom," they would whisper. Her son, her sacrifice, her victory, finally marrying and settling down. Weeks earlier, Deo had brought Anita home. Fair, soft-spoken, and dripping class. From her designer bag to her polished nails, everything screamed Lagos Island money. Mama Titi smiled, but deep inside, she felt the gap between them. Anita barely ate the pounded yam she labored to make. She wore a faint, polite smile and wiped her hands with tissue after shaking the villagers. And whenever Mama tried to advise her on marriage customs or prayer life, Anita nodded absent-mindedly like someone scrolling on Instagram in her mind. Still, Mama didn't complain. "It's the way of the new generation," she told herself. "As long as my son is happy." But the happiness began to feel one-sided. Calls from Deo became shorter, rarer. When she called, Anita often picked with an impatient tone. "Mama, we are busy with wedding plans, we'll call you later." Mama waited. Days turned to weeks. She began to hear whispers in town that wedding plans were progressing. But her own son hadn't told her anything directly. Not the date. Not the venue. Not even the color of the asoebi. One morning, her neighbor, Mummy Ronka, ran into her compound waving a phone. Mama Titi. Congratulations. Deo's pre-wedding pictures don't land Facebook. Look at Anita, she's as fine as lace imported from Dubai. Mama Titi took the phone slowly. She stared at the photos, her son and Anita, dressed in matching green and gold, smiling like TV stars. There were hashtags. Hashtag Anita Deo 2024, hashtag Lagos Love Story, hashtag Our Perfect Day. Her hands began to shake. "Where is my own invite?" she asked quietly. She called Deo immediately. He picked on the third ring. "Mama, I was going to call you. There's been a lot of pressure. Anita's parents are insisting on a small, private wedding. You know how Lagos people can be. So, I won't be at my own son's wedding. It's not like that. You will take pictures with your wife, your in-laws, your friends, even strangers, but not your mother. Mama, please don't make this harder. Anita is stressed already. She feels you might not fit into the kind of wedding we are planning." That was it. A heavy silence fell between them. Deo didn't say, "I'm sorry." He didn't say, "I'll fix it." He didn't say anything more. Mama Titi dropped the phone like it had burnt her fingers. She sat there, staring blankly at the mango tree she planted the year Deo was born. "So I was good enough to suffer, to starve, to hawk pepper barefooted for, but not good enough to be seen at the finish line." The pain wasn't just about missing the wedding. It was about being erased from her son's story. That day, the mango tree wept with her. But what Deo and Anita didn't know was, you can't write a new chapter by tearing out the first page. Mama Titi might be quiet, but she wasn't weak. And her silence was only the beginning. 3 days after the call with Deo, Mama Titi hadn't eaten. Her neighbors noticed her wrappers looked looser around her waist. She no longer swept her compound first thing in the morning. Even the sound of her radio, once full of high life and old gospel hits, was gone. But her eyes, oh, they burned. Not from tears, but from a fire only a mother scorned could carry. She sat in front of her house, gripping her worn Bible like a weapon. People came to console her. Mama TT, don't worry. Maybe they'll change their mind. You know this Lagos girls, they can be funny. Don't take it personal. Maybe they will still send you an invite. But she heard none of it. What hurt wasn't just being left out, it was being intentionally removed. She remembered how she had raised Deo with the strength of 10 women. His father died when Deo was just 2. She had hawked pepper, washed clothes, farmed in borrowed land, all to send him to school. He had never lacked respect, until Anita. Anita, with her soft accent and soft hands. Anita, who once asked her, "Ma, is it okay if Deo doesn't visit often? I want us to build a more modern life." Modern. That was the word Anita always used to justify her coldness. But now that Anita had succeeded in keeping her away, Mama TT was no longer just hurt. She was angry. So, she called her cousin, Baba Dele, who lived in Lagos. "Brother Dele, are you free this weekend?" What's happening?" "I want to come to Lagos. There's a wedding I must attend. My own son's wedding." He was silent for a moment, then whispered, "You mean the one we saw online? They didn't invite you?" "They didn't. But I'm inviting myself." That weekend, Mama TT boarded a bus to Lagos. She arrived with one small Ghana must-go bag and a heart full of purpose. She stayed quietly in Baba Dele's house in Ajij and began to make her plans. With no formal invitation, no venue address, and no welcome, Mama TT did what old women do best, she investigated. She started with the hashtags. Then she scrolled through Anita's sister's Instagram, with the help of Baba Dele's daughter, who was a genius at Amiibo research. Before long, she discovered the location, a luxury hall in Victoria Island. Guests were already confirming their attendance. She took a deep breath. "I may not wear lace or carry iPhone, but I will enter that wedding." Then she did something no one expected. She hired a tailor in Mushin. A kind woman who stayed up 2 nights sewing a dazzling native with red velvet lace and gold trimming. She bought jello fabric so bright, it could blind an enemy at first glance. Then, she visited a salon and told the girl, "Pack this my hair like someone that's about to give testimony on national TV." On the morning of the wedding, while Anita was still being sprayed with setting powder and Deo was adjusting his agbada, the mother they raised was stepping into an Uber in full regalia, her jelly as high as her pride. She didn't cry anymore. She smiled. "If they won't open the door for me, I will walk in like the mother of the groom that I am. Because no one, no wife, no fancy wedding, no modern idea, could take away her story from her own child's life." The wedding hall was glowing, crystal chandeliers, golden drapes, white roses everywhere, and a saxophonist softly playing Perfect by Ed Sheeran. Anita's vision had come to life. She wanted a wedding that screamed class, exclusivity, and Instagram perfection. Guests were dressed to impress. The bride walked in with her bridal train, every inch the modern queen. Slim gown, lace gloves, hair in a perfect bun. Cameras followed her every step. Deo, on the other hand, was visibly uneasy. As his best man handed him the rings, he whispered, "You sure say you okay? You been Day frowned since morning." Deo forced a smile. "I'm fine. Let's just get through today." But he wasn't fine. His mother's silence after their last conversation haunted him. She had always shown up, for visiting days, for school fees, for family meetings. And now, her seat at his wedding was empty. Or so he thought. Midway into the reception, just after the couple finished their first dance, the MC shouted, "Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the Queen Mother herself." Heads turned. At the entrance stood Mama TT, in her glittering red and gold lace, jello like a royal crown, and a handbag she held like a sword. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't posing. She was walking with purpose. Gasps filled the air. Some guests started whispering, "Is that Deo's mother?" But she wasn't on the guest list. Waala. This one NA Yoruba film part 2. Anita's face drained of color. Her perfect jaw clenched. "Who let her in?" she hissed. Her sister muttered, "She came with some older relatives. I think even some of the groom's uncles are with her. We can't send her away." Oh. Deo, frozen on the stage, stared as his mother walked down the aisle, not to cause drama, but to take her rightful seat. She sat boldly in the front row, arranged her wrapper, and looked up at her son. No tears. No shouting. Just eyes full of pride and pain. The MC, unsure what to do, kept the show moving, but the energy had shifted. Deo couldn't take his eyes off his mother. His hands trembled during the couple's toast. Finally, during the mother-son dance, he couldn't hold it in. He stepped off the stage, walked past Anita, past the crowd, and bent in front of Mama TT. "Mummy, please forgive me," he said, tears rolling down. She didn't say a word. Just stood up slowly and opened her arms. He wept into her shoulder like a child. The hall went silent. Even the DJ turned down the volume. Then the crowd, one by one, began to clap. Some wiped tears. Others cheered. Anita stood alone by the cake, fuming, watching her picture-perfect wedding become a stage for the one woman she tried to erase. Because no amount of money, class, or wedding planning could outshine the love between a mother and her child. The honeymoon was supposed to be magical, white sand beaches, coconut drinks, matching pajamas, and love under the stars. Instead, Anita and Deo flew out to complete silence. No laughter. No inside jokes. Just the hum of the plane engine and a thick, awkward energy between them. From the moment they entered the hotel suite, Anita knew things had changed. Deo was distant. Polite, but cold. He scrolled his phone endlessly, barely made eye contact, and when she tried to cuddle up to him, he gave a tired excuse. "I just need to clear my head, Anita." "Clear your head?" "On our honeymoon," she snapped. "Yes. Because I'm married to a woman who made me disrespect my own mother." That sentence hit her like thunder. "Excuse me. You heard me. What you did was wrong. You humiliated my mother. You banned her from our wedding like she's some nuisance, forgetting everything she's done for me, for us. I wanted a classy wedding. Your mother would have embarrassed us with her shouting and her I must be noticed behavior. That's not the brand I was going for, Deo." He looked at her, stunned. "Brand? Anita, this is real life. Not Instagram. Don't raise your voice at me," she snapped, folding her arms. You were the one who agreed to it. Don't turn around and blame me. I agreed because I was torn, Anita. You pressured me. You acted like I had to choose between you and my own mother. That's not what love is. The room grew tense. Anita realized that for the first time, she had miscalculated. She thought removing Mama TT from the wedding would give her full control. Instead, it had created a wedge in her marriage barely 48 hours in. So what now? She said quietly. I don't know, Deo replied. But I do know this. I'm going back home to see my mother once we return. True to his word, the moment their flight landed in Abuja, Deo took a cab straight to his family house in Gwarinpa. Anita went back to their apartment alone. Mama TT welcomed her son with jollof rice, chicken, and open arms. No gloating. No lectures. Just the warm embrace of a mother who had been wronged, but never stopped loving. Deo stayed there for 3 days. He didn't pick Anita's calls. He needed time to breathe. To reflect. To remember who he was before wedding planners and RSVP lists made him forget. And Anita. She began to feel it, regret. The silence. The loneliness. The social media comments asking, "Where's your husband?" The growing tension among her in-laws. She had won the wedding, but was losing the marriage. And for the first time since their engagement, Anita began to question everything. Anita sat alone in the living room, scrolling through their wedding photos on her phone. Picture-perfect moments. Yet behind each smile was now a memory soaked in tension. Her DMs were quiet. Her phone calls to Deo still went unanswered. The reality sank deeper with every passing hour. She had wounded the very root of her husband's happiness, his mother. One morning, she made a bold decision. She changed out of her silk robe and wore something modest, a plain blouse and wrapper. No makeup. No lashes. No filters. She called a ride and headed to Mama Titia's house. As she approached the gate, her heart pounded. She didn't even know if they would open the door. But she had to try. Mama Titi was in the garden, trimming her flowers, when she heard someone at the gate. She looked up and froze. There was Anita, standing outside, barefoot, tears already streaming down her face. Mummy. I'm sorry. Mama Titi blinked. For a moment, she didn't move. Then she dropped her shears and walked slowly to the gate. She didn't open it immediately. Why are you here, Anita? Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of hurt. Because I made a terrible mistake, Anita sobbed. I let pride and class get in the way of love and family. I hurt you. I hurt Deo. And I'm so sorry. I don't want to lose my marriage, and I don't want to lose you. Silence. Then, Mama Titi opened the gate. She didn't say a word. She simply pulled Anita into a long, warm hug. It was a hug that carried forgiveness, rebuke, love, and hope, all in one embrace. They sat under the mango tree as Anita poured out everything, her fears, her pressure to create a perfect wedding, her childhood trauma with her own family that made her control-obsessed. Mama Titi listened patiently. Then she spoke. Anita, I may not be a classy woman in your books, but I know what it means to fight for family. You pushed me away, but I won't push you back. Because Deo loves you. And if he loves you, I will too. Anita wept even harder. Later that evening, when Deo came home, He found the two most important women in his life sitting at the table, laughing and eating roasted plantain. He blinked, confused. "Welcome, husband," Anita smiled, standing up and running to hug him. "I've been waiting for you." Deo smiled, tears forming in his own eyes. "I've been waiting too." Months later, Mama TT and Anita became closer than ever. They cooked together, went to church together, and even hosted small family gatherings. Anita started a blog about modern African wives and in-laws, and began sharing her story. The wedding may have been messy, but the marriage turned into something real. Because at the end of the day, family is not about perfection, it's about love, grace, and the courage to say "I'm sorry."